Over the past few years, parasocial relationships on the internet have become such a plague that there is a whole segment of TikTokers who are becoming infamous for this alone, and there is no better example of this than Texas' very own Tyler Catastrophe. Tyler's a TikToker who has recently gone viral for his obsession with the well-known YouTuber and musician Wilbur Soot. Tyler's obsession with Wilbur started in 2019 and quickly became his entire identity. He said he wasn't able to date anyone else because his mind and heart were fully occupied with Wilbur since the day he heard him laugh in the background of someone else's video.
And so in all of that time, regardless of how many people have tried and been interested in me, I have not been able to find the interest for any single one of them. Because I have a crush on a guy I have interacted with once. And I don't even officially know his sexuality. That's a whole other thing. And I have tried. I have tried so hard to move on from this, to let it go, because I want so badly for it not to cross over into parasocial terror.
This obsession would get much deeper, as Tyler would go to England repeatedly to attend Wilbur's concerts and then manage to meet Wilbur and take a selfie with him. However, Tyler would make so much out of this moment that he would start fantasizing about imaginary scenarios where he and Wilbur would be a couple and live happily ever after. I fall in love with a creative European who does the creative things I want to do. They fall in love with me and know I do stuff they want to do. We learn from and encourage each other at every turn. True power couples with an uninhibited joy when it comes to our togetherness. Tyler would also make a GoFundMe for the sole reason of leaving Texas and moving to England, specifically to Brighton, where Wilbur's band is based. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. From defending Wilbur against a serious abuse allegation made by his ex-girlfriend, and then victim-shaming Wilbur's ex-girlfriend by saying things like, "I will literally just bite you. If Shelby Shubble has no haters, assume I never existed, because I would still be hating from the grave," to then blatantly claiming to be Native American when he clearly is not, Tyler's rabbit hole goes much deeper and darker. Tyler's a biological woman, born in 1999, who later transitioned genders, and his actual name used to be Emily before he transitioned. Tyler was born to 2 white parents, however, he genuinely hates it. In his early Tumblr posts in the 2000s, he constantly portrayed himself as white passing, mainly because he felt separated from a culture he could be a part of, even though there is no clear reference as to which culture he is referring to. One thing I hate about being white passing is that I feel so incredibly separated from the culture that I could be a part of if people didn't assume I was white. One of the reasons Tyler denies being white is because his father is half Portuguese. However, this still doesn't make him white passing, as Tyler says, because Portugal is still a white country, and Portuguese people, except for migrants living there, are widely considered white Europeans. But Tyler doesn't think so. In all of his videos and posts where he talks about being Portuguese, he talks as if Portugal is a Latino country and is not white. Mind you, Portugal, not Brazil. And then he portrays himself as Latino. Once Tyler went to eat dinner and got asked by a guy if he was Mexican, which Tyler got ridiculously excited about, and he even said that it made his day. A coworker and I went to get dinner after work, and I complimented a guy's jacket, and we were exchanging pleasantries, as one does, and I have no idea what made him ask. But he asked if I was from Mexico, and when I told him that, no, I am actually Portuguese, he was super interested and said that made sense, which 1, no one has ever asked if I was anything other than white, and 2, I was so overwhelmed with gratitude for that moment that I ended up thanking him for making my night as I left. One of the reasons Tyler seems to be embarrassed about being white is because of the rich history of white colonization that happened in the last 5 centuries. And if he could somehow convince people that he is half Latino, he could at least appear as a victim and talk about history from the victim's side. However, what he didn't realize is that Portugal is actually one of the nations known for colonizing others. In fact, it is one of the first and longest-lived European colonial empires. So unfortunately for Tyler, his half-Portuguese theory can't fit into his narrative of being from a minority racial group, but what is even more unfortunate is that his siblings look more non-white than him, while he, in his own words, is a carbon copy of his pasty, red-headed mother. Once, while coming back from Mexico after a trip there for a family reunion, Tyler said that Border Patrol stopped them and accused them of smuggling his sister, because she supposedly became black due to the sun in Mexico, while he and his brother became whiter. While this whole story looks more like a fairy tale than a real story, it still displays Tyler's desperation to be perceived as anything but white. But Tyler's hatred for his own race runs much darker than this, to the point that he was happy and excited about being hit by a black man in a car and not a white man. I was pretty shaken because the PTSD from the last crash is still pretty fresh. I am honestly glad he hit me and not some other white person. Not only does Tyler hate his own identity, but he has also made several attempts over the years to relocate to different countries, with his first attempt being Greece, even though Greece is still a white country, and he even went as far as referring to it as a country that is called to him his entire life, whatever that means. Would anyone on Greek Tumblr, specifically those who live in Greece and speak Greek, be at all interested in having an LGBT American friend who is looking to move to Greece in 2024? I want to build a new life for myself in the country that has called to me my entire life, with a tag that says please help. And this is highly likely the reason why Tyler used the name Salona as his last name on his Tumblr account, a desperate attempt to make himself seem like he is from Europe. But Greece is not the only thing that has called to Tyler his entire life. Oklahoma has called to him his entire life as well. Tyler was born and raised in Oklahoma before moving to Texas. And just like his laughable half-Portuguese claims, he tried to exploit being from Oklahoma to make himself Native American, because Oklahoma is known for being one of the states in America with the largest indigenous populations. Despite having no real Native American background, Tyler tried to insert himself as one by often referring to our culture when talking about Native American culture. And even later on, after he started TikTok, Tyler would usually dance around being Native American by saying that the land where he was born and raised had been calling to him his entire life.
I was raised and decided to find myself on my own terms, partially because my family turned their backs on me. I did what a lot of people do and turned to spirituality. And also, like a lot of people, I turned to the Hellenic Greek pantheon first. It was the most accessible, the one I had the most knowledge of at the time, and certainly the most socially acceptable. But the one thing that really never stopped calling was the land I was born to. I was born and raised in Oklahoma, arguably the most indigenous state, given how many times it was taken away and then leased back to its people. Peoples who have endured immense suffering, time and time again, and even in continued suffering, have fought tooth and nail to keep not only their lives, but their ways alive, even when their stories and histories and ceremonies have been outlawed by people who saw what they had, saw their kindness and generosity, and decided to take everything they had away from them. And it's rare that I talk about my own beliefs and experiences with spirituality or whatever word you want to use for it, mostly because I'm not the debating type. But if there's one thing I hold to be absolutely true, it's that the land remembers her people. And while there is a lot to be said about the generations of breeding out the savage, quote unquote, something I hate saying, and the very racist intentions of blood quantum, but when it comes to me personally, the land I was born to holds a great deal of importance to me. When I'm sure of nothing else, I'm sure of where I come from. And somewhere in the years of educating myself and learning the stories and the histories and finding the truths and the lies I was taught, I found the ways of my home. And while I would never claim a heritage I have no way of proving, I would never take opportunities away from the people that deserve them, and would never take up space in a culture I was not welcome to, if honoring the ways of the people of my home, learning their histories and doing what little I can to help keep their ways alive, and referring to myself as Two-Spirit as a way of honoring the weight of my own soul and the way it guides me home, with the blessing of my deadliest auntie, by the way, is something that you would consider morally corrupt, then I don't think we will ever understand each other. There's a lot I don't share about myself, a lot I don't tell about myself, not because I'm ashamed or because I think it's wrong, but because it's likely to be misunderstood, and I don't always have the words to make it understandable. But at the end of the day, everyone has those things that are likely to be misunderstood. And with so many people's love of assuming things they have no way of knowing, it's really no wonder we keep them to ourselves. Okay, love you, bye. They say that
Despite this, Tyler has no family background of being Native American, something he himself would acknowledge later after receiving so much backlash by saying, not a recognized member of an indigenous tribe or nation. However, Tyler's lie about his identity would only get worse once he started claiming to be Two-Spirit, an exclusive umbrella term for indigenous people, who feel as though they embody both a male and a female spirit, representing a distinct and sacred gender status in the community. This is not just a random old post either, because there was a time when Tyler, for years, was calling himself Two-Spirit whenever he introduced himself in his videos.
TikTok, I need your help, please. My name is Tyler. I'm a transgender
After Tyler made this ridiculous claim of being Two-Spirit, the internet got pissed, and even more indigenous people got pissed, to the point that some of them came forward and made videos condemning Tyler.
Hi, so you actually can't be Two-Spirit if you're not Native American. Thank you.
One thing that's been particularly nagging at me and I find really insane is that he calls himself Two-Spirit.
Seeing this reaction, Tyler would then come up with the most desperate and pathetic attempt to make himself look qualified by saying he actually has an aunt who is indigenous and told him that he is indigenous. Tyler refers to her as the deadliest auntie, whatever that is, and then says that she actually gave him a pass to be indigenous by saying, I have an auntie who calls me her ingingerous nephew. And while Tyler was making it look like this person was his actual aunt, it turns out she wasn't. They met on Tyler's live stream on TikTok randomly and then became friends afterward. Take care, my amazing nephew. I am so glad we met on your live while I was randomly scrolling. I am so proud to be your auntie. Tyler had a rough upbringing, especially because his parents got divorced when he was only a senior in high school in the most chaotic way possible. According to Tyler, his father had been a very terrible parent and husband for a very long time. He consistently cheated on Tyler's mother and then eventually bought a firearm, something Tyler's mother was extremely against, given that there was a lot of domestic violence in the household, which became the immediate reason why the two got divorced. In a post Tyler made on Tumblr as a note to his father, he said, hiding a gun in the house, not telling your wife, even though none of us are mentally stable enough to have firearms in close proximity, especially given your and my history, not okay. Hiding my mother, your wife, not okay. Tyler's father then drained the family's bank account, forcing Tyler's mother to give him custody of Tyler and his siblings. However, Tyler chose to live with his mother, who didn't have enough money or a stable job, forcing Tyler to start working. His first job was as a football referee, followed by many more jobs over the years. However, in 2019, Tyler's trajectory in life would completely change after he got hit by an SUV while riding a Yamaha motorcycle, which led to his rib cage being severely injured and 2 of his ribs being replaced with titanium. This unfortunate incident left Tyler partially disabled and in chronic pain. Being disabled in the very specific way that I am is so strange. Like, I can't bend over. I'm in a constant level of pain at all times, and my body just stops breathing if I am not actively telling it to. But the full story of how the incident occurred is somehow controversial, with Tyler putting all the blame on the woman driving the car. However, after he told this story so many times, people started doing some digging and found the actual report of the incident, which puts all the blame on Tyler. This accident involving two vehicles occurred on Thursday, October 24th, 2019, at approximately 3:23 p.m. The driver of the red Yamaha failed to yield the right-of-way while turning left. The report also shows that the driver of the SUV didn't do anything wrong, placing the blame on Tyler's driving. Not only that, but Tyler didn't have a license at the time either, which clearly shows that Tyler was the one at fault. However, whenever he retells this story, Tyler puts the lady driving the SUV at fault, and to this day, spends hours trying to farm sympathy. Sure, it is unfortunate that this incident happened to him, but it is still absolutely disgusting that he doesn't take accountability for his actions. After this incident, Tyler started focusing more on his artwork since he had been unemployed ever since, and he had a passion for designing jewelry and creating art. He then started using social media to promote his business, starting with Instagram around 2022 and posting his work. This month marks 2 years since I took an SUV to the ribcage and lost everything I'd spent my life building for myself. I've seen a lot of lows, but that was definitely the worst. But in the past few months, I have learned what it means to be happy without effort. I finally launched my art career with actual results, and I have shipped art across oceans. I have improved by leaps and bounds at every corner, and now I am the best I have ever been. Which was met by his then small following with very positive comments and feedback. Seeing this positive feedback, Tyler doubled down and started posting even more. He then moved on to TikTok and started posting there as well. Mainly, his posts promoted his jewelry business and showcased more of his paintings, which got a decent reaction from his growing audience at the time. However, the same can't be said for the quality of his art. Tyler's beaded jewelry and paintings have been criticized for being overpriced and lacking quality. One such example was when some girl on TikTok fell for Tyler's videos of "buy my jewelry and help a disabled trans person move out of Texas," and then decided to buy a necklace. The price of the necklace was so high that she used her entire paycheck to pay for it. However, it arrived 6 months after she ordered it, and immediately after she received it, the necklace basically broke. On top of that, it was greasy and didn't fit her neck.
Me being the dumb bitch that I am, I was like, oh yeah, I can do something nice for my community. I can buy a necklace. I can help this guy get out of a red state with... He said he had a roommate or a partner or something that he needed to leave with, and I was just, okay, let me help. Wrong. So I went on his Etsy, and I remember the necklace was very expensive. You guys have probably seen this one in the videos. I got this one. And it came with a ribbon that ties it together, but the ribbon broke like as soon as I used it, so I can't wear this anymore, and I don't want to. The necklace, I literally do not even want to think about how much it costed because I remember it like took away my whole paycheck, but I bought it, and I had to wait around 6 months to get it. I bought it in July, and then it did not arrive at my house until like late December.
Despite this, however, the reaction from Tyler's audience was more positive. But behind all of this, there is one major issue with Tyler that would completely shatter his social media presence, which is his unhealthy obsession with Wilbur Soot, who is a famous Minecraft YouTuber and also a singer in a band called Lovejoy, which is based in Brighton, England. It all started in 2019 when Tyler heard Wilbur's laugh in the background of someone else's video, and then, to quote Tyler, it felt life itself leaned in to listen.
I have had a crush on Will Gold since 2019 when I heard him laugh in the background of someone else's video, and it felt like life itself.
Soon enough, Tyler became obsessed with Wilbur, becoming a fan of the band, and then trying to contact Wilbur by repeatedly going to his concerts in England. Tyler hopes and actually plans to join Wilbur's band as their second vocalist upon arriving in England. He has made several attempts on TikTok by making videos of him singing.
Absolutely no idea if one of my favorite bands might want a second vocalist, but I do know I am crazy enough to ask. So hi, Lovejoy. Do you want a second?
He told me that much and now he's dead. Told me to kill my indulgences with a sharp blow to the temple. Pick up the phone, call and do everything he says. I could take a plastic camera, we could make such a pretty... So if you care to find me, look to the western sky. As someone told me lately,
However, when the band didn't accept his offer, Tyler resorted to repeatedly trying to contact Wilbur by going to his concerts in England. He has been pictured with Wilbur at a Lovejoy concert, but Tyler does not know him on a personal basis and instead resorts to trying to get Wilbur's attention by obsessively commenting every time Wilbur posts on Instagram. This obsession would soon become a full-blown parasocial relationship, with Tyler admitting it is interfering with his dating life because he claims to be a one-soul guy-at-a-time type of person. And immediately after developing a crush on Wilbur, Tyler wasn't able to love anyone else, showing how deep this parasocial relationship is destined to go.
Which is really inconvenient for me, because I'm very much a one soul at a time kind of person, so once I develop a crush, virtually no one else stands a chance ever. And at the time, I had just broken off a terrible engagement to a guy who didn't even like me. And since then, I have only briefly dated one other person, who was wonderful, but it didn't work out. And so in all of that time, regardless of how many people have tried and been interested in me, I have not been able to find the interest for any single.
And even when Tyler makes videos about what kind of man he wants, he would describe Wilbur indirectly, bolstering his weird parasocial relationship and fixation on Wilbur.
You know what I want in a relationship? Because I do. I've thought about it a lot. I've been consistently single for years, and it's not for lack of people trying, it's just the people I want haven't been trying, and unfortunately, I'm not allowed to try. I make bad decisions when I try. But now, I'm gonna put it out there. Let the universe take it off my hands, alright? Then my hands are off the wheel. I don't drive, but I know what that means. I know I've said before that my type is tall, blonde, goofy musicians, and that is still very true. When it comes to the dynamic, like I want to be in a power couple, but I don't want to be the sole breadwinner, because I've done that. It's not fun for me. I want a man who I can create with. Music, art, opportunities, the list goes on. I am a maker of things who likes to share the making of the things. That's just me. Also, I want a man with ambition who actually acts on that ambition. I've been with too many guys who never act on their goals. It's not for me. Also, I want to be with a man who is successful on his own, and also isn't threatened by the fact that I am successful.
Despite this full-blown obsession, Tyler doesn't even know Wilbur's sexuality or whether he stands a chance or not, and yet he actually thinks he has a chance with Wilbur.
Twice. So no matter how many times I try to sweep this under the rug and move on with my life, there's always that little thing in the back of my head saying, there's a non-zero chance.
Not only this, but on his Tumblr Tyler posted. In his early Tumblr posts, Tyler wrote, "I wish Wilbur Soot would call me baby, #manifest." Not just wishing, however, Tyler would become so deluded that he created an imaginary scenario where he and Wilbur are together and posted it on his Tumblr. I fall in love with a creative European who does the creative things I want to do. They fall in love with me and know I do stuff they want to do. We learn from and encourage each other at every turn. We share citizenships, live in Europe somewhere, do cool stuff, and are able to travel to the States when needed. True power couples with an uninhibited joy when it comes to our togetherness. We go to aquariums and concerts and museums and theme parks. We eat good food and get as silly as possible. While all of this was happening, Tyler's social media presence was also growing bigger, especially TikTok and Instagram, which he tried to capitalize for the first time by crowdfunding to buy a suit for himself for his best friend's wedding. And it worked. Tyler managed to buy a suit from the money he crowdfunded on TikTok.
So I have this wedding that I have to be at in 2 weeks. And I've been trying for months to find something to wear because this is my childhood best friend. We've known each other. As promised, I would just like to take a second to thank everyone who helped me look this good. Holy shit. Oh my.
Seeing this success, Tyler created an even bigger crowdfunding campaign, with a goal of collecting $22,000 to escape Texas and move to England. And while Texas is considered a very conservative state in America and is considered very unfriendly for the LGBTQ community, Tyler's destination after escaping Texas, the UK, is no different, since it is known for being hostile toward the LGBTQ community, making his choices somewhat questionable. The description of his GoFundMe reads, "Hi friends, my name is Tyler and I am a disabled transgender artist from Oklahoma, currently stuck in Texas. I've been given an amazing opportunity to move to England and further my art career, and considering everything that is currently working against my safety here, I am doing everything I can to make it happen. I don't want to have to live in exhaustion and fear for the rest of whatever life I have left. I'm asking that it is not too much to ask for." While this seems very normal, one thing worth mentioning is that Tyler has mentioned that he has been given a job opportunity to work in England. Tyler has claimed multiple times in his videos that he was given a job opportunity to work in one of the most famous art studios in the United Kingdom, which is owned by a well-known painter called Stuart Semple. Tyler's first interaction with Stuart was in 2019 after he got in the car accident, and then unknowingly sent a long DM to Stuart, telling him he appreciated his work, and then Stuart replied with positive feedback.
Originally, 2019, I got hit by a car, had to have surgery and everything, and that's kind of what got me into like actual art, because it was right before the pandemic hit, so I had to restructure a lot. And when I was waking up from the surgery, I ended up sending a message to Stuart, like big long DM about how much I adored his work and how much I just adored him. And because I was still under the effects of anesthesia, my phone was not on airplane mode, it actually sent. And I wake up later, no longer under the effects of anesthesia, and realize he has responded to a text I have no memory of sending.
Fast forward a couple of years later, Tyler would go on a trip to the UK in 2022 and managed to meet up with Stuart and visit his art studio. Upon returning to America, Tyler claimed that Stuart had offered him a job opportunity to work at his art studio in England, and that he was so excited because this was his dream job. Tyler would then bring up this story whenever people asked him why he was going to England of all places, since England has a bad reputation when it comes to respecting the LGBTQ community and the overall instability in the country right now.
I'm trying to move to England. There's a job waiting for me. It's something that I specialize in, and it'll give me enough free time to also focus on my own work and building my own name. And I'm super excited. So it's gonna be with my friends, and it's awesome. Because right now I have an incredible job working with amazing people in England waiting for me. I just have to get. I just love asking for help on the internet. Because I found my dream job, and I got my dream job, but I gotta go to the dream job. And the only way to do that is to pay to get there. So I made this thing. See, I managed to land my dream job after years and years of working.
I have a job waiting for me with a group of just incredible artists that I can't disclose, but it's been like a year in the making. I got to visit them last year when I went for my birthday. But the actual job itself will be in an art studio with a group of just amazing artists who run a nonprofit, and I'll be able to make things and just do all the things that I do for myself, just on a larger level. Like, I'm again a man of many hats. I'm a jack of all trades to the extreme, so I hope I get to do a little bit of everything. But like, it's people that I'm already friends with. I give them tips here and there because just I want to be a part of it. I want to be involved. I like helping.
Tyler was so excited for this opportunity that he started a GoFundMe and then started selling all of his property to be able to fund his move there. However, by the end of 2023, Tyler announced that the person giving the job was no longer responding to his messages, and then Tyler started posting videos blaming Stuart. When a world-famous artist says he will hire you, then ghosts you like a bad ex, basically sabotaging your life and career, but at least this is your work. After repeated smear campaigns and allegations against himself, Stuart would come on Reddit on Tyler's snark page and share his side of the story. And apparently there was no job offer to Tyler to begin with. Just to say he was a nice guy. He visited my studio while traveling in England and obviously became infatuated with the UK. He spent about half an hour with me. I said that if he made it to England and sorted a visa, we could talk about it. That said, there was never a job offer and I wasn't sure what he could contribute. We weren't advertising any jobs at that time. I get that he loved our studio and wanted to be part of it. I never expected him to take that as a green light to sell all his stuff and go on a crowdfunding rampage. And even looking back at Tyler's old videos where he talks about this supposed job offer in a very enthusiastic way, he never gave any detail about what the job was about, and neither did he explain how he was going to fit into this art studio, making people question his claims in the first place. Despite this, however, Tyler continued blaming Stuart and even saying this: "One day, a famous artist and activist you have always looked up to will ghost you after saying he would hire you, leaving your career with a string of missed opportunities and ruining your desire to paint." And obviously for Stuart, posting his statement on Reddit alone wasn't enough to share the whole truth, so he decided to come on TikTok and make a video about it. In his statement on TikTok, Stuart stated that their interaction was nothing more than just a brief moment, and the main reason was because Tyler repeatedly texted him and his crew and forced him to contact him because he didn't want to be rude towards someone who sees him as an idol. Confused by the situation, people on TikTok asked Stuart by saying, "Can you confirm if he is actually friends with those who work in your studio like he claimed?" He said he was close with both you and everyone who works there. To which Stuart replied, "Close is an overstatement." He sent a lot of messages to a lot of the crew, and I know everyone was lovely to him. I think one of the crew was with him a bit more. He may have felt we were friends, but perhaps to us it was a little less than that. To clear things up even more, Stuart would post their DMs, which showed there was nothing close to a job offer, and certainly nothing that was enough to convince anyone to decide to travel all the way across to a different country by selling every bit of their belongings. So why did Tyler lie about a job that clearly wasn't there to begin with? Well, the answer is very simple. Wilbur. The reason why Tyler wanted to go to England, specifically to Brighton, was because his crush Wilbur actually lives there. Tyler would then respond to these claims, but his responses were contradictory. At first he said that he randomly chose Brighton because it was the first city that came to his mind when planning to go to England, and he didn't actually want to go to Brighton but said so because people kept asking him. And then at another time he did admit he wanted to move to Brighton, but his reason was not because of Wilbur, but rather because he is a fan of the Brighton Sports Club, saying that all of the other teams in England are so terrible.
A guy moving halfway around the world just to be closer to a YouTuber? If y'all think I would make a massive life-altering decision that takes years of work to achieve, just because I was willing to admit on the internet that I think a musician I don't know has a pretty laugh, then y'all really... I'm I'm sure I'm not the only guy in the world who would let his decision to move somewhere be influenced by a sports team. And why would you like their football club if not for a crush? I grew up in the sport. My whole family played, we helped run a non-profit youth club. I was a referee for 6 years. And when it comes to the Premier League, most of the other teams, Chelsea, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Leicester City, to me, they all play like assholes. They time waste, they flop, they play dirty. Brighton actually plays the game. I mean, I could talk about how Verbrugge and Van Hecke, Weaver are pretty much the sole reason I have a paid fan club membership to the Netherlands national team. I could talk about how Matoma is such an ace striker, he literally has a PhD thesis that he wrote about dribbling, or how the last transfer window broke my fucking heart because we lost Estepinian, who was my favorite, Lamptey, and Adingra. I actually think you should stop talking. Did you know that the head coach, Fabian Hertzler, was born in Houston, Texas? I really don't like you. Yeah, that's fair.
Sure, you can support Brighton as many people do across the world, but in terms of pure football, Brighton is not a superior club compared to teams like Arsenal and Chelsea, as Tyler said. It is a complete lie. Brighton is objectively not better than these big teams, and certainly not enough of a reason to decide to move all the way across to a different continent. With this job opportunity proven to be a lie, Tyler's GoFundMe also violates the terms of service of GoFundMe and makes it basically a scam, with Tyler having managed to collect tens of thousands of dollars at this point. But if you thought this is where Tyler's saga ends, you're in for a surprise, because things would only get worse. As mentioned earlier in this video, Wilbur Soot is a fairly successful singer and YouTuber, with his band Lovejoy gaining millions of streams on Spotify and a highly dedicated fan base. However, Wilbur's reputation would be destroyed in 2024 after his ex-girlfriend Shubble, who is also a successful Minecraft YouTuber, came forward with abuse allegations. Shubble came forward accusing Wilbur of biting her in a violent way, even when she was clearly uncomfortable and told him to stop doing it. Shubble stated in a live stream that it started at first as a normal consensual interaction, where Wilbur would bite her, which she didn't seem to think about that much and even saw as a positive thing, thinking that this was just his way of giving her love and checking on her. However, this somehow normal thing would get violent once Wilbur started ignoring Shubble's boundaries and started doing it aggressively, to the point where he didn't listen to her when she said their safe word.
Said myself at the very beginning of my stream that the biting was not the problem. I was not okay with being hurt. The very existence of the safe word proves he was too often biting too hard. Every friend that ever spent any time with us was told by him himself why we needed a safe word exactly. He kept biting too hard. And in my opinion, what was expressed to me from somebody else, if it is repetitive, daily, it is intentional.
And after these allegations surfaced online, Wilbur made an apology statement acknowledging that he was selfish and wrong. However, he would flatly deny Shubble's allegations, saying he hadn't done anything that wasn't consensual at all. While there is no clear evidence that Wilbur is actually guilty of the things he was accused of, his response was very shallow and didn't address things directly, and the internet reacted in Shubble's favor, criticizing Wilbur and leading him to lose almost all of his audience and fans. But things started getting even worse for Wilbur once multiple ex-partners came forward accusing Wilbur of the same thing, eventually leading the internet to give Wilbur the nickname the Brighton Biter. But with all of this, there was one person who defended Wilbur from the start of these allegations early on in 2024, Tyler. Tyler has posted multiple times on his Tumblr claiming that Wilbur is innocent, and that all these allegations are just things made up by Shubble to smear Wilbur's good name on the internet. Have you ever seen a niche internet drama get really confused quickly, look up the source, and just wonder how the hell the drama happened? Because right now it looks like a lot of people just made some shit up about a guy and ran with it. And not only defending Wilbur, Tyler has also made several disgusting statements about Shubble blatantly insulting her on his Tumblr. I will literally just bite you. If Shelby Shubble has no haters, assume I never existed, because I would still be hating from the grave. Can I be honest now? I can't stand Shubble, like in general, not a fan. I don't like her, not one bit. Her vibes are rancid, always have been. What made this even worse is that Tyler was giving his opinion and siding with Wilbur as soon as the allegations surfaced online, meaning he didn't even care to do any research or wait for more details. Some of these posts are even older than when Wilbur first made a response. Even a couple of years later, after he became active on TikTok, Tyler had the same stance on the situation, but was a little less aggressive and rude toward Shubble. Instead, he tried to reason with his audience. However, his reasoning is as disgusting as it gets. At first, he said that because he was abused, he knows what it looks like, and concluded that the Wilbur situation is not actually abuse, but rather a minor miscommunication issue.
I do not think that Wilbur Soot is an abuser, because as someone who has been a victim of abuse, sexual assault, and domestic violence, I know way too well what those things look like.
Band I really like, but the vocalist had a bad relationship and now the internet has twisted the story to beyond recognition. No SA, no violence, just bad communication things. At this point, Tyler's fixation on Wilbur has become undeniable, and is cemented as one of the most disturbing cases on the internet of how far parasocial relationships can go. with commentary channels making documentaries on Tyler and Tyler actually becoming infamous for it. Wilbur even made a video addressing Tyler as a parasocial fan who was fixated on him, and stating that parasocial relationships are something that needs to be taken seriously and should be addressed. However, even after all of this, Tyler denies his behavior crossing into parasocial territory. He tries to downplay it by saying that he was just expressing his crush on a guy in a band and nothing more.
Yes, but having a crush about a person you don't know is not inherently wrong. I'm not out here writing self-insert fanfiction or building a shrine to our love in my fucking closet. And y'all are out here acting like I trained an AI chatbot to talk like him. And for the record, we are
And I have tried so hard to move on from this, to let it go, because I want so badly for it not to cross over into parasocial.
But at this point, no matter how he desperately tries to downplay his behavior and make it look like it is just a celebrity crush and nothing more, the internet has already seen the pattern of his behavior and his actions, and Tyler would be known as a creepy, stalker-like, and obsessive person who even went as far as blindly defending Wilbur against serious abuse allegations just because he has a crush on him.